Hi there. Wait, I'm gonna get my headphones on. I forgot about those, so we get the. Okay, I think we're ready to go. I've got to get this up so I can see your questions, and I had it set up and then it went away. Okay, so I think we're here, and we're going to make our own wreath today. So there's a lot of different elements that you can use to make a wreath, and these are just a few of them. But you can do a wreath with one of them. You can make a really thick wreath and do a whole bunch of them. I actually had the one sitting somewhere else. I left it sit. So if you're on here, say hi. Just give me a like or something so I know there's someone here, and we're going to get started here in just a minute and get going. There's a lot of new members on here. That was nice to see. I hope I got it and didn't miss anybody before we started, but I'll go back and check again. And hi, Melanie. I can go back and check again when we're done, and they can always see the replay. So I set up this board. I thought this was the easiest way of seeing the different elements that you can put into a wreath. And, you can vary these colors. They don't have to all be these colors. But, it just gives you an idea. You can put one item in. You can put all of the items in. You can do whatever you want. So I also have this ready to go. And it's a pie basket that I'd picked up at a yard sale. I'm going to do something on it. I don't think I'm going to do fall on it because I think that limits the sale of it too much. But I'll do it in black. I won't do it during the class. I'll do it after and then I'll post it. I also have this tray ready, which I scumbled in the color a little bit darker on this one. And then actually I thought it was too dark, so I sanded it a little bit. I'm going to do it after also. So just so you can see, I get a bunch of projects ready at once. I have this cheese box ready to go. The scumbling's a little bit lighter on it, which I kind of like that, as opposed to the dark, but I got carried away. I also have this board ready. It's heavy. It's a big board. These are not always easy to sell, but I thought it would be a fun project to do. So eye-catching, somebody looks at it in your booth and sees it and really likes it, and then they buy a smaller one instead. So I have these started too that I actually put pumpkins on. And then while I was waiting, hi Tammy, hi Noelle. So while I was waiting and I had all these colors out, I went ahead and did this one so that you could see. I'll show you red berries, but you can mix your berries up. I actually have a bush in my yard right now. It's some form of hydrangea. I don't even know what it is, but it has like a blueberry, a bluish gray berry. They're really pretty, and I'm going to try to incorporate some blue into probably the black basket. So, but that gives you an idea. And this, just to share, thankful, I have got rid of the boot and I am walking with a cane, and I am so excited. I can't imagine I was ever going to be thankful to walk with a cane, but I'm happy for the cane. Something about the cane screams old. Like, I just think crutches say you're injured, but a cane says you're old. But hey, I'm going with it because I'm glad to be free of the crutches. So made some progress this week anyway. So like I said, the first thing I start with is to scumble in a background. And all I do for that is to get a scruffy brush, something that's completely wore out, and go according to size. Like obviously on this I used a smaller one, but on those big pieces I used this. So, and I just used, I just put 3 colors out and kind of jump back and forth between them, scumble in the background. want to keep it pretty random. You don't want that to, you don't want that to look like just spots or polka dots. You want to kind of keep it random, going back and forth. So that's what I did here, just to give you an idea. The colors that I'm using. And so this is completely, you just have to look at your paints and think fall colors. So I have on my palette Hauser Dark Green, Heritage Brick. I think I have Heritage Brick on every palette I put out. Khaki Tan, Antique Gold, Cherry Red. I just used a little bit of that. This I used for these dip dots. It's Craft Smart, and it's real thin, and it makes great dots because like these, it flattened down, which was nice. It's easy to dot. Light Avocado, Desert Sand, Raw Sienna, and I have Buttermilk, Ebony Lamp Black, and I don't know where I come up with this brown, but because I don't usually use Apple Barrel, but Apple Barrel Burnt Umber. So I also used a little bit of this Josanya Burgundy, Josanya Norwegian Orange, Josanya, this is Gold Oxide. I've had this for like 20 years. These are good paints because they last forever. And some other options would be the Liquitex Cad Orange. I do have a little bit of the Liquitex Naphtha Red. Anyway, just, think fall colors and put out what you think you're going to use. It's always different. So I start with, generally start with a long liner brush, like a long skinny liner brush. And this is a Winsor Newton. I'm going to say I got it at Michael's, but obviously I've left it in the water and it's, the paint's chipping away. So I'm not sure. I have some more of those somewhere. I actually have some new ones somewhere if I would just get them out. So what I usually start with is I make a puddle mix of brown and black, just to soften the black a little bit because sometimes it can be harsh, and you can also mix it with green. So you kind of, you want to think like this, like that paint should be thin enough that it doesn't drip, but it'll go a long way. So I'm going to just kind of finish this vine with this. And like pressure makes a difference. Like I used too heavy a pressure on there, so that got a little thicker. So, we're just going to go along and finish. So you want to keep it, you want to keep it pretty random. You want to think about how your vines would grow this way. Vines don't grow at a 90-degree angle. They'll kind of grow at a 45-degree angle or less. So, kind of think of it that way. So I'm going to finish, while I'm doing this, I'm just going to finish all of these little vines here. So when I got over to here, I mixed a little bit of green in with it. So I'm just, I just wet my brush again and I picked up some green. And we'll finish that out. So you can vary it. You can go back and forth between the green and the black. There's no hard and fast rule here. This is just to give you some ideas of some things that you can put together to make a wreath. So we're just going to finish out all of these lines. I'm going to go back to these little mini sunflowers over here. So, when you do these wreaths, the thing is you can have, oh, let me see, something happened here. Okay, so when you do these wreaths, you can vary them, and they always look different. So, so anyway, I've got that finished out. I love these brushes, and I always have new ones in case I get, these are my lettering brushes. So they are a royal brush. I think it says SG711 is the number. They're a 1/4 inch brush, and you can see they're long. I buy these at Michael's. They're $2.99. At one point I did buy them on Amazon, and I bought a dozen of them just so I would have enough, because this is always a go-to brush for me. I make daisies with this, I do my lettering with this, and I do these little leaves. So we're going to do these green leaves. So I'm just loading the brush in green, and again I'm watering it down a little bit, and I'm going to just tip the side of it in the dark green, and we're going to kind of work that back and forth to give us a double load. And then we're just going to, I'm going to get this up here where you can see it maybe a little better. So we are going to press that brush down and lift it up. Okay. Press it down and lift it up. So sometimes we want to make groups of 3. Sometimes we just want to put one by itself. Oops, I'm missing. Let me get it back here. I didn't look, and I'm missing this. Okay, let me do one more set down here so you can see. Let me make sure. The iPad's on a delay, and then I don't see that I'm out of the screen. So we're pressing down, lifting up. Okay? Those are always a good item to put on. You have to kind of sometimes think about the order that you want to put them in, but you know, you'll figure that out kind of as you go. So I'm going to go back to that liner brush and some black and green, and I'm going to connect those. Let me make sure we're in the frame here. Okay, so we're just going to, you know, bring a little line up through the middle of those. Okay, so those are all connected. You can always just, you know, do this, something like this to soften it up a little bit. Some little curly cues. And then I'm going to pick up some reds. Again, any color you want. This is always cool to do at the end, and do them in even gold or copper. But we're going to put some little grass. Make sure I'm in the frame here. Some little, like, just grassy lines. And you can see, you know, like the paint ran out. I don't have a solid line there, and that's okay that you can do that. Okay, so there is 1 and 2. That's your, well, actually 3. Your vine, leaves, and grass. Okay, now we're going to go over here and we're going to do some wheat, which is just a variation of the leaves. And I am using the raw sienna, and I'm using this long skinny brush again, and I'm using the gold, the antique gold. Okay, so I'm going to make a line on the chisel edge of my brush, like so, to give me a guideline. And then, and I know this is hard to see on the on this background, but it's basically just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves. There, I guess that shows up. See, with that delay, I wasn't sure how that was you're gonna see that in the light. I have a lot of sunlight comes in this window, and I actually pulled a curtain down over it to help. So this one I'm only gonna put 3 on. This one over here, we'll put 5 on again. Okay, and then back to your liner brush. And I'm going to pick up the raw sienna and a little bit of the oranges and reds just to get this darker. I don't want these veins to be black. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to trace that center and just connect those. You could do that in green if you wanted to. Like down here I still had some green in my brush. So I have green in those, and that's okay. You know, because fall has all the colors in it anyway. So I guess I'll go over and get some green and dark it. Like I just took what I had in my brush and so I will say the easiest way to do leaves and any line work is to be pulling the brush. Like your brush should be pulling this way as opposed to pushing it. It just makes it easier for you. For the sake of, you know, the camera angle, I'm pushing in places. But try to keep in mind, like how I would do this if I were going around a wreath is I would go this way with these lines. It's just easier to pull it toward you. But, you know, rather than switching it around, I'm trying to show you. So here was 1, 2, 3. That's a 4th element right there you can use in a wreath. The 5th element are the berries that are a little bit harder to make, as opposed to when we get over here and do dip dot ones, but that's okay. I am looking for my round brush. So I have a number 4 round brush, a Simply Simmons brush. Again, you know, not an expensive brush. They come from Michael's. So I'm going to do red berries for you. I just think they show up better. And I do not put a pattern on with this little round brush. I'm using the Josanya Burgundy. And I'm just going to make some circles. So here's the thing. You don't want these, you don't want them all the same size. You can group them however you want. Groups of 2 don't always work, and groups of 4. But, you know, I like groups of 3, I like groups of 5. But if they're close enough together, like this, you have 3 here, you can always put this, and this kind of makes a group of 5. Okay, so I watered that down. Keep in mind that they are nature berries, so, you know, they don't have to be perfectly round. So I'm going to let those tack up a little bit, and we're going to go back to them. Because typically I'd be going around a whole wreath, and then where I started, they would start to dry, and I could highlight them. But they're pretty wet on just this few, so I'm going to let them dry for, you know, I'm going to go on to this one, and I'm going to let them dry. So, find the right brush. So for these leaves here, which are the same as that pumpkin one that I showed you the picture of, I used a filbert brush. And this is one of those ones that I posted a post on, you know, for the whole set. And they're actually decent brushes for the price. I don't think they're going to have a real long life, but a lot of my brushes don't anyway, because I don't really take care of them well. So we're using this, and I'm picking up the the light avocado, and then the Hauser dark green. So I kind of have a double load on there. You know, both colors. And I have a good deal of paint on there, and it's not watered down. I have not added no water to it. Okay. So where we pressed down and lifted up away from us on the other leaves, these are rounded leaves that we're going to press down and lift up this way. So, you know, your heavy parts at the end. Okay, that's all there is to those. I also did some here that I used the raw sienna, and you know, I wiped my brush. I didn't really clean it out or rinse it. I just wiped it, so I still have green in there, and you can do some like goldy brown leaves, and you could do these reds. You could put whatever you want in them. Okay, so again, we're going to connect them. And I'm going back to this long liner. Does anybody have any questions? Am I going too fast? I know there's a bunch of new people that came on here that ask and want to ask if she could paint along, and you're welcome to paint along, but I don't know, sometimes I think it's easier. Like if I watch a YouTube video, I want to be able to stop it and do what they say and then go back. So I think it'd be hard to paint along. Okay, so I'm going back to this liner brush, and you know, I'm just going to go in and connect all these. You know, because otherwise they're just out there floating. I don't know if you can hear any background noise, but there's an event at the fairgrounds and they're playing a national anthem right now. Probably should stop what you're doing. But okay, so then we have, you know, like you could do just this for a wreath. You wouldn't have to do anything else. I also am going to put some dots in this just to show you. Let's do some turquoise ones. Excuse my arm there. I have these little palettes here, and I put some turquoise out earlier. Oh, might be too dry. Okay, let's put some turquoise dots in. Oh, that is way too dry. I've got to get some more. Now you've got my head, the front of my shirt. Hi, Donna. Thank you. It's, you know, it's putting it together. Like you can do so many different things. Like you can start out with these colors and you can do 4 projects and they will all look different. Okay, I'm going to try to put some little turquoise dots in this one. You know, because fall, it's all, you can always throw in a little turquoise, a little blue. You know, don't be afraid to experiment. Sometimes I experiment with them and I think, oh, that's going to look awful. And then it ends up turning out not bad. So I already had some gold ones in there. So, whoops, picked up the wrong color. So I'm going to put a little more gold in there too. And I'll post this when it's done. You know, it might be actually a good picture to save, to go back and reference. I know for me, I'm probably going to stick this board up somewhere just to have it, you know, to remember some different techniques. So the thing is while this, you know, I'm saying this is a fall wreath. Oh, hi, Judy. That's all right. You can go back and look at this again. So that would be a great wreath, you know, and you could always put, you know, let's do this. You could even put a little bit of red in there, some red dots. So, you know, it's all about experimenting. So anyway, I lost that train of thought. So while this is supposed to be a fall wreath, keep in mind that almost everything here can be adapted to a Christmas wreath, a spring wreath, just change the colors. You've got all the techniques. Man, you could do You can do anything with this. This is, you know, like those of you that do shows, this is really, really fast stuff. You know, I don't know about you, but like I was always the night before a show. Oh my gosh, can I get 5 more things done? Can I get 10 more things done? You know, of course, those were always the ones that didn't sell. So, hi, Jamie. Oh, where are you at, Jamie? So I'm going to go back to these. We were waiting for these to tack up a little bit. I'm going to put the burgundy like around the outside edge. Like, so I find bottle acrylics, it's hard to get a nice deep red that has enough pigment to not be transparent. And so I do use the Josanias because they just seem to have enough pigment. So I'm starting and I put the dark red from, let's say, 10 o'clock down around to 5 o'clock. And then I'm going to finish filling in with the heritage brick. So, you know, do 5 or 6. So it kind of blends while that's still wet. It kind of will blend in. Okay, so I'm filling in the rest with heritage brick. And then I'm wiping out my brush. I'm not rinsing it. And I'm picking up the Naphtha Crimson, which this is the Liquitex. And a bottle acrylic will not act this way. But you can just lay that red down on top of that. And it's probably, think about like from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Like, you know, if you were looking at a clock. Okay? Keep in mind that there is not a bottle acrylic that's going to lay on top of that. That's where you need the tube acrylics. And honestly, you know, not to badmouth any paints, but the Artist Loft tube acrylics, you know, the inexpensive tube acrylics that Walmart sells and Michaels sells will not lay like what the Liquitex will. Like I have this, and this is fine, but it is not going to lay on top like a Liquitex acrylic will. So it's worth the investment to buy a few of those Liquitex. The yellow, the red. I even like I buy the yellow, I buy the red, I buy the cadmium orange for pumpkins. And I buy, obviously, titanium white. I love this green. I can badmouth apple barrel. Yes, I can. Oh, hi, Carol. Oh, thanks. Oh, Alabama. Oh, cool. So I also buy the lime green, the Liquitex lime green. Yeah, there's just certain ones I keep on hand. I do like the raw sienna. So I kind of, you know, I keep some of those on hand just because they do work a little bit different. And they just make your painting easier. So, you know, even if you pay, I watch, like when I have a Michaels coupon, if there's nothing else that I am absolutely getting, I would just go buy a tube of paint because, you know, I want to use that coupon, even though lately the coupons have only been 20%. So I'm going back to this liner brush, and I'm going to connect these berries. Okay, and then I got my hand in. If you're doing dipped up berries, that's always a good idea to do them last, because I just got my hand in those. So I connect them, and then I kind of do a little jig on where they go into the berry, just to make it look a little thicker, you know, like a little tap dance with your brush. Okay, so there's our berries. Some of you that just came on, and I'll post this after. I did this while I was waiting with all different colors of berries. So, you know, but I'll post this after. I'll post pictures of all of these as soon as I get them done. So we're going to move over to, so now we have 4, 5, 6, basically 7 techniques. we're going to move to these. So these are kind of a hint at a flower, and they're not, or at a leaf. You know, they're not real precise, but they'd be a great item just to throw in here and there. I know, Judy, I like all those different colors of berries like that. Okay, so I am picking up antique gold, and I am using another filbert brush. It is a number 10 filbert, and again, it's one of these $2.99 brushes from Michaels. So I'm picking that up. I'm going to tip my brush in the Heritage Brick and make a little double load of the red and the gold. So like these are fast, we're not getting real precise with them, but if you just lay that brush down with the red towards the middle, pivot it, pull out, pivot it again, pull out, pivot it again. Then I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to pivot, pivot, and pull it up. So while those might not be acceptable leaves if you're doing a whole floral project, when you put them on a wreath, you don't really, you know, because it mixes with everything else. So they're a great little filler in there. Pivot, pivot, up. You can just pivot up and flip it and pivot up. Okay, and it'll give you some color. We're going to do one more on the other side. I'm going to reload that brush, go back into the same place on my palette, and we're going to pivot, pivot, up, flip it over, pivot, pivot, up. Okay, and then back to the liner brush, black and green, and we're going to just connect them. So again, you know, any color. I hope some of you will do these. I mean, they're great practice. I hope you'll try a tray. I'd like to see what you come up with, because I like to see all the combinations. The other thing I did on this one was I took a scruffy brush, and you know, this is a great like tip at the end, but I would always do this last. But I have copper on that brush, and I'm just dabbing a little bit of copper here and there. Copper's a great fall color, and what I have is, it's a Josanya burnished copper. Again, it's one I've had forever and a day. But you know, you can get all of these folk art metallics, you know, royal gold, Inca gold, there's a rose gold. These are great to add a little bit of sparkle to some of your pieces. I even have, I don't think silver to me is not a fall color, but I even have the glitter finish acrylic paint. So like there's a lot of things you can do with those. Okay, again, if you're, oh excuse me, if you're turning these into Christmas, the silver's great for that. Okay, we're going to do some birch branches. So I am going to use a number 2 flat brush, and I'm just using black and brown paint, full strength. I'm not watering it down at all, and I'm going to just kind of bounce that brush out. And you know, these are going to need some end on them, like, you know, like a flower or something. You want these to look like they're coming out from behind. So it's hard. I mean, you could do a whole circle of them, but I don't know. Birch branches aren't really pliable. They're not going to go in a circle, so I guess you have to think about that. They're great to just poke out here and there. So I painted those in black and brown, and I'm going to let those tack up a little bit. Hi, Linda. Good morning. I'm going to let those tack up a little bit, and I'm going to show you these dots here, because these are like the super, super easiest thing you can do. So while that's drying a little bit, I'm going to come over here. I have mixed this cheap wine paint, cheap wine, that's interesting, with a little bit of brown and made a real runny paint. And I have a big dip dot, and I'm just going to set it down and let it settle a little bit. So, you know, like how easy is this? This has no skill written all over it. But they can, you know, like they can be pretty effective. Like they can look really nice. Then I'm taking a smaller stylus and I'm just dropping the red into the middle of those. I'm actually not in the middle. I'm trying to drop it kind of off to the one side. You don't want to just drop them all right in the middle. So see how I'm kind of dropping that in there? Like that one didn't stick. So we'll have to go back and drop some more in there. Drop a little more in there. Okay. Maybe I need a little more in this one here. Okay, and then you just let those settle and dry. Now those you want to do at the very end of anything. And you can do those smaller. You know, it all depends on, you could actually do the first dot with this and the second dot, you know, with just a tiny little one, depending on what you're making. You know, vary it towards your size. I actually have those dip dotters that they're the size of a marble. You know, if you were doing, I don't know, like a wall or something. Okay, so then all I did on that one was I just picked up gold. I have a gold paint here, and I'm just, you know, dabbing a little gold in that. Okay, so again, any of these can be mixed together. Oops, I forgot. Look what I forgot on these. I forgot a little bit of highlight. So I'm picking up a little bit of the buttercream and just putting a little highlight in those. You know what? Everyone doesn't need to have a highlight, or they can, either way. But yeah, just a little bit of a highlight in those. Okay. All right, back to the birch. And to try not to get my hand in that. I'm going back to that flat brush, if I can find it. Okay, I'm wiping it out. And I'm picking up the buttercream. Now, I don't want water in this. I want this to be a full strength paint. So I'm picking up buttercream. And I'm going to try to, did you say the color was cheap wine? No, the color's wine, but it's cheap paint, so it's cheap wine. Okay, so I'm going to get this up here, hopefully where you can see it a little better. So I'm laying down buttercream, and I'm putting my brush right on the edge of my branch and lifting up. Okay, so do you see how that one's lighter? This one's not as bright down here because I did it while it was wet. So I can go back in and highlight this one a little bit. So, you know, it's all in what you like. I was kind of hurrying to get this done. After I said I would do this, I thought, oh, it would be easier to do this way than to try to do a project. Okay, so then quick birch. You know, and You could put all the little black lines in it, but hey, when you have this in a wreath with everything else, just do it fast like that. I'm all about like, how quick can we do this? Okay. Okay, one last one here. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, yeah, just ask if you have any questions. If you think of anything later on, just ask me. I try to keep up with this and keep watching it. So we're going to do these little sunflowers. And I know you've seen me do sunflowers before, but like these are, I'm going to call these the fastest sunflowers in the world. So I'm picking up a little bit of the raw sienna, a little bit of orange. And I just want to give myself an idea where I'm going to put those. So I'm going to put a whole one here and 2 halves and a little bud. Because if I don't give myself an idea of where that's going, I won't, like, I don't know. I kind of will get lost on them. So I always do that for daisies, for flowers, for any kind of flower. I will go through like a whole display and do this. Looks like you could pick them. Yeah. Yeah, they do. They do. And you know what really will make these berries stand out before I go, I'll let that dry up a little bit. Before I go to the next thing here, let me show you. If you're doing a project, what will really, really make them stand out is think about your background color and what the shadow would be. So in other words, if you're in a blue background, you want to go a little darker blue. So what you're thinking about shadow-wise is your background color. So I'm going to pick up on a angle brush a little bit of watered down raw sienna. Okay, then if you go to these berries and lay that angle up against the berry and see if you shadow them, it makes them pop like right off of your piece. It makes them almost stand out. Now I am going with, I could use that little flat brush, but I'm going to go with back to this long one here because it holds a lot of paint. And I'm going to start with a mix of the raw sienna and just a little bit of this orange. It's gold oxide. Raw sienna, gold oxide. Hi, Bonnie. Yeah, check out the replay. It'll be on there. I'm trying to figure out a way to put them on YouTube, but I haven't got that far yet. I'm gonna have to get one of the kids to show me. So same process as the leaves. You just lay the brush down and pull out like that. Okay, so and let's do this round one. Just gonna go the whole way around. Okay, then I'm wiping out the brush, but I'm not rinsing it, and I'm picking up the antique gold, and I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm trying to let the ones show behind. Okay, keep them pretty random. And then down here. And again, these are quick sunflowers because you're putting them in a wreath. You might be putting 15 or 20 of them in there, and we're not going to get real precise. So I'm taking the gold, keeping the gold on my brush, and I'm picking up a little bit of the buttercream. And I'm going to do one last round. Last layer. Kind of, if I'm putting any thought process into that at all, I'm probably doing the last ones a little bit skinnier, like maybe not laying my brush down quite as much. Okay, so I have that. I'm going to make this top one be so you're not seeing the inside of it. So I'm going to I just loaded some green on that brush, and I'm putting a little edge on that. It's not quite dark enough. Okay, a little thing like that, and down. Then these I'm going to make as if you were seeing the inside of them. And I have a scruffy brush, and I'm picking up the burgundy or a heritage brick, whatever you have, and a little bit of black. And I'm just going to dab that. Okay, and that's it. You could put the little black dots in these if you want to get real precise. Again, depends how many you're doing, you know, how much work you want to put into it. If it's just the sunflowers, you might want to take the time to put the little dots in. If the sunflowers are mixed with everything else on this board, you don't have to take the time to putting those little dots in can be a pain. I don't like to do them with a stylus because I think they get like too perfect and don't look real. But so I always use the end of a brush. But anyway, gives you an idea. So all of those elements together, one of them, two of them, whatever you want to do. I mean, I guess I wouldn't mix these berries with these berries because I don't think that would work. You know, or these berries with these berries. I think if you're doing berries, you should stick to like either the realistic ones or the dots. You know, it doesn't matter. I just probably would not mix them together. And like I might not put these two together. You know, these leaves with the sunflowers because they wouldn't show up, but you could do these leaves with like these leaves. So, you know, you can do all different mixtures of these, and I really hope that you try to do something, some part of this. I love to see what you make. So please paint something, take some time to sit down and create for a little bit and paint something, and make sure you share it in the group, that we all learn from one another when we share like that. So everybody have a great day. I'm going to go practice walking because I'm walking again. So I'm so excited about that. So have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching.